all in course of trying to connect. I welcome you to MAN 854 Corporate Strategy. I remain your facilitator, Dr. Mrs. Chikodli Okafo. Are we there?
Yes, ma, we can hear you.
All right. Please, we'll have to run very fast because we already have some time wasted. We're going to review what we did last week. We discussed the aggressive competitive strategy, just in its summary. In accordance with the well-known saying that the basis of power, many companies monitor the activities of competitors constantly. Remember what the topic for last week is: aggressive competitive strategy. Many companies monitor the activities of their competitors constantly. To develop competitive strategy, we discussed that it is necessary to understand the competitors' objectives, especially in such areas as market shares and sales. And subsequently, the organization itself will also need to develop its own objectives. We equally mentioned that we have some forms of innovative strategies used in aggressive competition. We mentioned them as one, rewriting the game, technological innovation, higher level of service, and cooperation. That's the summary of the aggressive competitive strategy. We equally discussed last week the activities of corporate strategy, if we can still remember. We discussed the issue that we discussed on customers as being a vital part of corporate strategy development. Customers provide either the revenue to generate the wealth of the organizations, and they are the reason for the existence of the public services or public service and charity. So they are reason for most of the organizations. I mean the customer. We equally mentioned that we have an analysis of how and where customers added value, that an analysis on how customer and where customer added value to the organization is very important, because it identifies which aspect of the organization resources that can assist customer relationship. We have 5 specific elements which may contribute to customer added value. The 5 specific elements that contribute to customer added value. We mentioned the differentiating, capabilities, channel power, company reputation, brands, and customer relationship. Customer profiling will provide a basic understanding of the customers. Customer profiling. It provides basic understanding of the customer that is crucial to strategy development. Another point there, the customer or the competitor matrix links together. When you talk of the activities of the customer, we mentioned that the customer and the competitor, they have a link. They always go together. And they have 2 important aspects. The 2 important aspects include the extent to which customers have common needs and possibility of achieving competitive advantage in the marketplace based on differentiation and economies of scale. And the matrix identifies four main types of strategic situation. And what are those four main strategic situations? Fragmented, specialized, fragmented, specialized, volume, and stalemate. If you look at our courseware, we'll get the details or the definition of all this. So the strategic significance of all this can then be explored in knowing better about the activities of the customers. So today we are going to dwell on the topic or the study unit that says what? That says marketing, positioning, and analysis. Marketing, positioning, and analysis. Today's topic is marketing, positioning, and analysis. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
I need a response so we know. I will know we are.
Yes, we are
together.
here.
Please, are we together?
Yeah, we're together.
We're together.
All right, thank you. So marketing, positioning, and analysis. So the process of analyzing customer as a part of strategy development, it begins by exploring the nature of customer-driven strategy. The process of analyzing customer as a part of strategy development, it begins by exploring the by the end of the week, we should be able to define market segmentation. We should be able to boastfully say, I can tell what market segmentation is all about. We should be able to identify the areas of a product brand that requires analysis. Identifying the areas of a product brand that requires analysis. So two things we have to go home with today. Firstly, what is market segmentation? What is market segmentation? For many markets, customer analysis needs to move beyond the consideration of basic markets. I'll repeat that. For many markets, customer analysis needs to move beyond the consideration of basic markets to an analysis of market. I don't know whether we got the point. Moving from customer analysis.
Can you take that again? Explain for that or not?
Moving from customer analysis to analysis of market. It's just two things there. Customer analysis to analysis of market. So when we talk of market segmentation, we are now talking about that most markets don't just do the analysis only on customers, but they equally do the analysis based on what? Market. So I now repeat the statement again. Customer analysis needs to move beyond the consideration of basic markets to an analysis of market. So market segmentation Hello?
We can hear you, ma.
Hello? I'm having
Hi.
some network I'm having some network fluctuation over here. So for many markets, customer analysis needs to move beyond the consideration of basic markets to an analysis of markets. So market segmentation and to the competitive stance of organization within the segment and their market positioning. So in market segmentation, it employs a prescriptive approach. Market segmentation employs prescriptive approach as the first step in order to explore the elements. There are two things I mentioned in this market segmentation. I mentioned the analysis of customers and the analysis of markets. And now we are talking about the approaches. And someone might be saying, I think we've discussed something in connection with the prescriptive approach. I just believe we still recall what we discussed on that. But I'll just throw a light to it, just for us to recall. So it employs, market segmentation employs a prescriptive approach as the first step in order to explore the elements. We can recall what we understood by prescriptive approach. So for instance, if an advantage are to be sustainable, it cannot be quickly copied by others. That is prescriptive. Prescriptive approach is a sustainable approach that cannot be quickly copied by others. It is likely that it will have taken some time. It requires a sustained period of development. That is, it takes some years to develop and establish a new branded product. So I'm trying to explain what a prescriptive approach is. And in market segmentation, we are told that prescriptive approach is the first step in exploring the elements of that concept. So in practice, the sequence is likely to be more experimental. Apart from the prescriptive approach, the sequence is likely to be more experimental, and in this sense, emergent comes into play because it often unnecessarily needs to explore a number of positioning areas. There are 3 prescriptive stages in market segmentation. Please, can we mute our speaker, please? We have 3 prescriptive stages. Prescriptive stages, we have 3 of them. Identify markets, identify markets or markets. The number 1 stage is what? Identifying the market. 2, evaluate segments. 3, position within the market segment. I'll repeat it again. The 3 prescriptive stages of market segmentation. 1, identify markets. What do we mean by identifying markets? Identification of specialists on needs of segments, which will lead to customer profile of those areas. So number 1 stage is identify market, evaluate segments, position within the market segment. I hope we've noted that. In the development of a customer strategy, customer analysis will often move rapidly to an examination of market segmentation. In the development of customer strategy, customer analysis will often move rapidly to an examination of market segments. What is market segmentation? Market segmentation is defined as the identification of specific groups, of customers who respond directly from other groups to compete competitive strategy. I'll go over it again. Market segmentation is defined as the identification of specific groups or segments of customers who respond directly from other groups to competitive strategy. Advantages of identifying market segments. There are some advantages of identifying a market segment. 1, strength in a group. Even though the overall market is large, you will definitely identify the strength in a group. So number 1 advantage there is strength in a group, even though the overall market is large. 2, close matching of customers' needs and the organization's resources. Close matching of customers' needs and the organization's resources through targeting the segment. Close matching of customers' needs and the organization's resources through targeting the segment. This will enhance sustainable competitive advantage. 3, the concentration of effort on a smaller area so that the company's resources can be employed more effectively. The concentration of effort on a smaller area so that the company's resources can be employed more effectively. We have 3 advantages here. We can make it up. We can explore our references. We have some references so we can read up and get more advantages to this. So hence, from the strategic viewpoint, the key advantage of market segmentation is probably the ability to dominate a sector. The key advantage of market segmentation is probably the ability to dominate a sector. Very important, underline that. And then target benefits that will sustain this position on the line. So the key advantage of market segmentation is probably the ability to dominate a sector, a segment, and then you target benefits that will sustain this position on the line. Let's move on. There are 4 important characteristics of any segment. If it is to be useful in strategic customer analysis, there are 4 important characteristics of any segment. If it is to be useful in strategic customer and analysis. So 4 important characteristics of any segment. 1, it must be distinguishable. Distinguishable. 2, relevant to purchasing. 3, sufficient size. 4, reachable segment. I run it over again. The 4 important characteristics of any segment. If you have to choose a segment, if you have to choose a target, if you have to choose a group, it must be what? Distinguishable. 2, relevant to purchasing. 3, significant size. 4, reachable segment. Must be a reachable segment. We are moving on to competitive positioning. Competitive positioning. Competitive positioning. You should realize that although a useful segment have been identified, you should realize that although a useful segment have been identified, this does not in itself solve the organization's strategy. I need to throw more light on this. That you have chosen a particular group, a particular segment, or a particular market area doesn't mean that the organization's strategy have been achieved. There are more work to it. And that's where competitive positioning comes in. The competitive position within the segment then needs to be explored. The competitive position within the segment needs to be explored, because only this will show how the organization will compete within the segment. So the competitive positioning will show how the organization will compete within the segment. So when you hear segment, you know we are talking of the group or the market area or the market group an organization have chosen. So this will show how the organization will compete within the group. Undoubtedly, customers will recognize the strengths or weaknesses of an organization's brand and its overall reputation. Undoubtedly, customers will recognize the strengths or weaknesses of an organization's brand and its overall reputation. they will tend to make the customer more or less loyal. This is equally true for small companies as well as large. Branding may be limited, but reputation will be key dominant of sustainable competitive advantage. There are 2 points I mentioned here. Branding may be limited, but reputation will be key dominant of sustainable competitive advantage. So the competitive positioning within the segment is paramount, is very important for every organization. And whatever the overall reputation they might tend to make or have on the customer depends on the word. No matter the brand or whatever be the brand, the reputation of the company is very, very key. Is a key determinant of sustainable competitive advantage. I hope we still remember what sustainable competitive advantage is. These are keywords we need to note and get used to them and make use of such words even in our daily activities, our day-to-day activities. Okay. Let's move on. So it is important to draw a clear distinction between branding and reputation. It is very important we draw a clear distinction between branding and reputation. Branding and reputation, we term it to what? To be company's organization strategy. Branding is a strategy, reputation is a strategy. So it is important we draw a clear distinction between branding and reputation. So branding is a specific name or symbol used to distinguish a seller's product or services. Branding. We have come along some products and services of some companies. We can imagine to know what their symbols, their names looks like or are. We use some of the household items, our daily consumables. We know the names of some of these products, the symbols they go with, and all these distinguish a seller's products and services. We have a lot of products in the name of toothpaste. We have Colgate, we have Close-Up, we have, name them. We have services like MTN, Glows, Etisalat, name them. So when we talk of branding, is a specific name or symbols used to distinguish a seller's products or services. So I believe our heads or our minds will be running through some of these names and symbols. And all these can be attributed to be the company's brand. So when we talk of reputation, it's a broader concept. So branding, we say, is the specific name or symbols used. All right. Reputation here is a broader concept. It is the sum of customer knowledge. The sum of customer knowledge developed about an organization over time. Reputation is a broader concept. It is the sum of customers' knowledge developed about an organization over time. This will include branding where necessary or where relevant, but it will also cover other areas. When we talk of reputation, branding might be included, and other areas. Other areas such as the product performance, the services the customer may be offered differs. The services, the marketing support, the quality of product. So when we talk of reputation, the branding is recognized or could be part of it, product performance, services, and market support. And when we talk of market support, we start talking of the advertising, packaging, promotional activities, and so on. So we'll move on to analyzing brand. Remember, all these concepts we are bringing up or we are discussing, they are all strategies. They are what? They are all strategies. They are all competitive positioning. We attribute them to strategies an organization could adopt in order to gain a competitive position. Organization could adopt some of these strategies in order to gain an edge over competitors, gain an edge to retain a competitive position. So some of these strategies or factors we are discussing right now. Branding, reputation, and under reputation, we have branding as well. We have product performance, we have services, we have marketing support. Okay. So we'll move on to discuss the analysis of brand, analyzing brand. Analyzing brand. Joy, are you there? Joy. Okay. We move on to analyzing brand. There are 5 areas that deserve analysis. Analyzing brand, we have 5 areas that deserve analysis. One, establish the reputation of a product. Establish reputation of a product. Provide continuity in the sense of an assurance that the product will continue. Provide continuity in the sense of an assurance that the product will continue to perform as it did in the past. Reflect, number 3, reflect a distinctive formula that is difficult for others to replicate. Remember, prescriptive approach. There are some statements to mention you. I want you to always link it to some of the terms we've discussed earlier. So when we talk of reflect a distinctive formula that is difficult for others to replicate, I somewhat believe that prescriptive approach should come to mind. Number 4, communicate the company's position as an established incumbent in the marketplace. I'll go over it again. Communicate the company's position as an incumbent in the marketplace. Number 5, provide a means for customers to signal information about themselves. Provide a means for customers to signal information about themselves. Analyzing brand. We mentioned 5 areas that deserve analysis. Analyzing reputation. Analyzing reputation. Remember, under competitive positioning, there are 2 major things you have to pick out from there: the brand and the reputation. The brand and the reputation. Okay? All right. Let's move on. Analyzing reputation. Reputation will be won or lost as a result of many activities of the company that goes well beyond customer consideration. Reputation will be won or lost as a result of many activities of the company that goes well beyond customer consideration. For example, superior product design or manufacturing techniques. So reputation could be won as a result of many activities of the company that goes well beyond customer consideration. An example of them could be when a company have a superior product design and manufacturing techniques. Okay. Effective communication. Cost effective in communication. I repeat it again. Cost effective in communication. Cost effective in communication. Personal persuasion is the most effective method of communication. Personal persuasion is the most important or most effective method of communication because the message can be tailored to the individual customer. The most effective method of communication. Why? Because the message can be tailored to the individual customer. However, for many domestic customers, it is not cost effective to call on each customer every time. For many domestic customers or customer products, it is not cost effective to call on each customer every time. The most times mass communication requires, if you keep on, maybe let me start calling them one after the other, it might not be cost effective. So mass marketing is required. In the area of cost effectiveness in communication, mass marketing is required. And what do we call mass marketing? You advertise, you brand, and the promotion strategy. All these could be adopted. So the key criterion in measuring communication strategy proposal is cost effectiveness. So the key criterion in measuring communication strategy proposal is cost effectiveness. So having the mind, maybe calling on each customer every time, it's not a cost effective one. So here we encourage mass marketing, which requires advertising, branding, and promotion strategy, as the case may be. And here we encourage that the key criterion in measuring communication strategy proposal is cost effectiveness. So the cost of obtaining effective communication with the customer, the effect usually being measured as the sale of the product or service. The difficulty is that it is usually sustainable or substantially easier to estimate the cost of such items as operating a sales force or telephone service team. So in summary, cost effectiveness or communication is usually measured by cost effectiveness. That's the summary of this. So personal persuasion is the most effective method of communication, but we have to look at its cost effect. And looking at the cost effect, mass marketing is required. I'm looking at mass marketing strategies such as advertising, branding, and promotion strategy could be adopted. Before I move on, I would like to take one or two questions. Okay. While I'm waiting for that question, I need to summarize this study unit. Competitive positioning is the choice of differential advantage that the product or service will possess against its competitors. We've said that earlier. Competitive positioning is the choice of differential advantage. What makes the difference? Strategies that gives you an added advantage over competitors. So competitive positioning are various strategies that gives an edge over competitors, looking at your target group or your segment. So thus the advantage of segmentation in corporate strategy relates to the development of sustainable competitive advantage and to the ability to target products to that segment. Very, very important. The ability to target products to that segment. So when considering the implication of customer-driven strategy, there are three main areas. When considering the implications of customer-driven strategy, there are three main areas. And what are those areas? Branding and reputation, communicating with customers, and pricing strategy. When considering the implications of customer-driven strategy, there are three main areas, which include branding and reputation, communicating with customers, and pricing strategy. Organizations communicate with their customers in order to inform and persuade them about the merits of their products and services. Communication takes place between organization and customers in order to do what? In order to inform and persuade customers, educating or creating awareness on the merits of the organization's products and services. This will assist in establishing a sustainable competitive advantage of the product. This will assist in establishing the sustainable competitive advantage of the product. Cost effectiveness is the main criterion, which, I repeat, cost effectiveness is the main criterion when assessing communications proposals. When assessing communication proposals, cost effectiveness is the main criterion. So costs are usually relatively easy to estimate, but the effects of some promotional areas may be more difficult to assess. Costs are usually relatively easy to estimate, but the effects of some promotional areas may be more difficult to assess. Pricing strategy. Pricing strategy can have strategic significance at three levels. Pricing strategy can have significant strategic significance at three levels. Rapid impact on profitability, a positioning of product and value for money. Rapid impact, the three levels of market of pricing strategy, the three levels of pricing strategies. One, rapid impact on profitability, a positioning of the product and value for money. Value for money. That's a summary for our study unit for today, looking at the marketing, positioning, and analysis. I would like to take a few questions. We'll be dealing with only one study unit for today. We're almost rounding up for the class. We have two more classes to round off with the module. So I'd like to take one or two questions before I give you few exercises to go through. I would like to get one or two questions. If not, I would like us to take down this assignment. I will encourage you to look at the self-assessment questions. Please always go through the self-assessment questions, attempt the questions there. For that reading, you can equally go through your references, please. Okay. Joseph. Hello. Hello. Hello.
With you, ma.
Hello, ma.
Yes.
We can hear you, ma.
I need to hear from you.
Okay, ma.
Okay, Joseph, any question? Joy. Chikezie. Hello.
We can hear you, ma.
Yes. Any question? We're already rounding up the class. I need to hear from you before I give you the take-home assignment.
I have a question, ma.
Okay.
Yeah, when you were discussing the characteristics of useful in strategic analysis, you mentioned that it has to be distinguishable, it has to be significant in size, it has to be a reachable segment, and also it has to be relevant
Sufficient.
to
Sufficient in
purchasing.
size. Sufficient in size.
Sufficient in size.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Sufficient
In size.
Yes.
So when you said it has to be relevant to purchasing, I didn't really understand. I don't know if you can throw more light on that point. Relevant to purchasing.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other? Because I want to take the questions once. Any other question? Did you understand what we meant by segment? Did you understand what we meant or what we discussed to be the segment? What a segment is? Did you get what a segment is? Hello? Who asked the question, please? When you want to ask
Okay,
a question, I will need to know your name.
I did.
Okay,
Yes,
what's
name
a
is
segment?
Editor.
Okay, what do you understand to be
a segment is that area of a product brand. Identified area of a product brand that requires analysis. Is it okay then? Hello, ma?
Hello? What's a segment?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't get you.
You said is that area of a product brand that requires analysis.
Sufficient size. Okay. If actually we know what a segment is, a segment out of a whole, right? We have a market in its large form, right? So What we are talking about here is you choose a segment, a group, a part, a target of out of a whole. All right?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes. Let's take, for instance,
Yes,
we have
ma'am,
a whole
we can hear you.
market. We have a whole market. So out of a whole, you choose an each. You choose a target, a group. So when we talk of sufficient size, if the segment is too small, then it will not justify the resources needed to reach out. So looking at the size of the market you have will determine the amount of resources you're going to invest. Okay, so knowing the strength of your resources will determine the size of the group you're going to choose to attend to. Okay, sufficient size. My sufficient size might differ from another company's sufficient size, looking at their strength in terms of the resources they could offer. So when we talk of resources, we have what comes to your mind? Both money, you start thinking of the 4 M's: manpower, money, materials, machineries. Okay. I hope we are getting me. So when we talk of sufficient size, here, the company organization A sufficient size might differ from organization B sufficient size because their strength differs. Their strength in terms of their resources which they could offer differs. So whatever be your sufficient size should be in line with the resources available. I don't know whether you understand, you get the point here.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So reachable segment, it should be reachable, not because your competitor is going about taking area A. You decide to go to area A. Are you able to meet up with the requirements that has to do with the area A? Something like that. So it must be a reachable segment. It must be sufficient size. Looking at your strengths and weaknesses as an organization, you should be able to choose segment or group that you could be able to meet, looking at the available resources. All right? Looking at the available resources. So these are some of the things we look out for in a segment. So is this something you can attend? Is this something you can meet? Is this something you can cope with? So such thoughts or such characteristics should come into play in making your strategic customer analysis. Okay. All right. What's your name, sorry? What's your name, please?
Edit, ma'am.
Edit.
Yes.
Okay. Chikeze, I guess he's part of the first person that came online. Chikeze, is he there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Chikeze. I guess I always see you first online.
It's proximity to the WhatsApp class, ma'am.
Right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I can see you. Any question?
No, I'm fine, ma'am.
Okay. I was unable to go through the assignments we forwarded. I assume we all forwarded the assignment. I just pray so. But
we did.
I will.
Yes.
You did. Okay. So I will respond to that. And I would like us to do this exercise. You might not submit this one, but I would like us to do this just to help us to review what we've done for today. So can you take this down? To checkmate, take this down. to checkmate the feedback gotten by the firm. I would like us to do this because our next class we will dwell more on getting some of those points we've noted down. So our next class will be more of interactive class or interactive section. So we'll discuss this assignment and then before we go to what we'll be having for the day. So don't take it that we won't submit it and you will relax and not do it. So you do it, try as much as possible to air your own view, because I will take note of people who participated in that class. All right. To checkmate the feedback gotten by the firm. Are we taking note of that?
Yes, ma'am.
To checkmate the feedback gotten by the firm. To checkmate the feedback gotten by the firm. The firm, when I mean firm here, the organization. The firm here, I mean the organization. So the firm can analyze customer value. The firm can analyze customer value added. I'll go over it. To checkmate the feedback gotten by the firm or organization, the firm or organization can analyze customer value added by some means or some ways. The firm can analyze customer value added by some ways or the following ways. List and explain those ways. I need at least 5 of these means or ways in which a firm can analyze customer value added. At least 5 points with explanation of what those points means. Are we there? To checkmate the feedback gotten by the firm. When I mean firm, I mean organization. The firm, the organization, okay? The firm can analyze customer value added by some means or some following means. List and explain at least 5 of those means or 5 means of those analysis for customer value added. Okay. We'll be having the class. I hope we've all gotten the question correctly.
Yes, ma'am, we have. I have.
If there is no other, not only you, I hope others have too. Aside from
Yes, ma'am.
that, if we don't have any question, I remain Dr. Mrs. Chikodi Lyokaf, and I wish us all the best. I wish you all
Hello,
the
ma'am.
best. Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Sorry, some of that.
Hello. 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 Hello.
Hello, ma'am.
Okay, I can hear you now. Okay. Okay, you can speak now. Hello.
Maybe you can type the message. Sir, you can type the message so that we just.
Okay, he can type the message, right?
Yes, and just send it as
Okay,
a chat.
let him type the message so I can get him well.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I wish you the very best and stay safe and stay blessed.
Thank you, ma.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right.